Hello?
Hey, Brainy Blonde, how are you?
I'm good. Good morning.
Good morning. I know you were getting a very early start, but you said you might have had some background on the Awans and some of the other people.
So obviously, they have a huge family, but when you start looking, if you just start looking up their names, it'll show you, like, people that are associated with them. And then you can start clicking through their names. So Imran Awan has a sister, Adila, who then, if you click on her name, it shows who she's associated to, and this guy, Mohammed Zohaib Awan, comes up. They're all from Lorton, Virginia, Woodbridge, Virginia, the same exact places. So
Springfield? Is Springfield in there?
Yeah, so Mohammed Zohaib, I'll first go through him.
You know, wait, I want to stop you right with Adila. You know where the Awan brothers shipping took rice shipments from?
Where?
In Salkat. Adila Rice Farms in Salkat, Punjab.
Okay, well, her name is Adila Rashaf Awan. That's his sister.
Right. That's Imran's sister, is Adila Rashaf
Awan.
Awan, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And she lived there as well. Go ahead. Sorry.
It says she still lives in, I think it's Lorton or one of those places. I mean, they've lived in so many places in Virginia, but they're actually, like, all over. When you start to look at the people they're connected to, I mean, there's, like, a ton of them.
Right.
But so she was connected to a guy, Mohammed Zohaib Awan, and he's also connected as a relative to Imran. Yeah. And he is married to a girl named Madiha, Madiha, Azam, Azam, from where is she from? I think Woodbridge, and they've lived in Lorton, but she was a loan specialist. I've, like, looked at her LinkedIn page. So she was an on-site supervisor at this place, Brilliant Corporation. It's like Brilliant Corporation in Fairfax, Virginia, as a loan specialist. And it says she was there for several years, I think since 2009, but it says on her LinkedIn that she stopped working there September of 2016. She's not listed anywhere else after that. But when you go back to this Mohammed Zohaib Awan, it lists places where he's lived, and it's Woodbridge, Virginia, and Lorton, but then there's a Springfield, Virginia. So I click on the Springfield, Virginia, and it takes me to this 6700 Metropolitan Central Drive in Springfield, Virginia, which is Fairfax County. And he's not listed as, like, a person, but there's a business, ADH Transportation. ADH Trans, it's ADH Trans Services. It's listed as a private company that started in 2009. One employee. It says $500,000 a year business, and it's all transportation services plus shipping. And it's strange, like, that, obviously, all this transportation stuff. But then if you, like, keep scrolling down, it'll give you, like, businesses that are similar to that are, it's usually, like, businesses that are either connected to the same person or do the same services. And if you, like, look up that company, it's all Florida. It's like Florida. It's like St. Petersburg, Florida. But it would be good maybe if the crowd starts looking into not just, like, the Awan brothers themselves, but when you start to look at all of these people, even, like, this Madiha Azam, she has family members. It's, like, all Virginia, but then there's also, it lists other cities where they're from and who they're connected to, and it's kind of like building this family tree. But just the fact that this Madiha Azam is related to or married to an Awan and is a loan specialist, and he owns a transportation service right in Fairfax, it just all starts to come together of who these people are. But also this Mohammed Zohaib guy, if you look at one of his links, I can send it to you. It has videos that he's posted on YouTube, and, like, the first video comes up is, like, him with a bunch of, like, I think it's in Pakistan, because there's all of these boys in these uniforms, and they're all tickling each other. It's so weird. But you kind of get a good picture of, like, this web that they have. And
Maybe
all
that's
of these
like
people.
Pakistani and ISI foreplay when,
I don't know,
there's
but it's like
there's a strict
it's
protocol
the
when you go to
video
ISI school,
yeah,
how you
it's
engage a
just
child.
a bunch of boys tickling each other and laughing. It's the weirdest thing. But I just think we obviously know that Imran and Jamal and Abid and their wives, like, we've kind of got the take on them. But when you start broadening the search and you actually start seeing who they're associated with and where they live and what their jobs are, like, it kind of puts stuff into perspective, and you can start to maybe connect the dots of, like, how big this reach really is. And I mean, their phone numbers are on there, their addresses are on there, the business address, it says it's still, it's still operating. So it would be interesting to maybe start pegging down some of these people that are, outside of the scope of just the three brothers and their wives themselves. But I mean, you've got sisters and who they're married to and their families. A lot of Madiha Azam's family is in New Jersey. I mean, it just kind of, it seems odd that all of the places you guys have been talking about, and every time you do a search for the Awans, anyone they're associated with, I mean, they're loan specialists in transportation. Loan specialists in transportation. They all live in Lorton, Woodbridge, Springfield, Fairfax County. It's all of the same stuff, and there's tons of them. So, I'm just concerned because Imran Awan is wearing an anklet, at his house somewhere.
I'm not even sure he has an ankle bracelet on.
I mean, who knows? Look, I'm going away on vacation, but if I wasn't, I'd go to his house. But no one's talking about the brothers. Like, where are they?
Yeah.
And, we obviously know that Imran's wife is in Pakistan. Well, where's Natalia Sova?
Yeah.
Where are these people? I mean, is Imran's sister still in town? Are these people that have these where are Abid and Jamal Awan? Where are they?
Yeah.
I mean,
zero follow-up by the MSM. Zero, or even alternative
none
media.
at all. And, I mean, the fact of the matter is, the mainstream media is finally, some of them talking about who in Congress these people worked for. And, Jamal and Abid were working for Ted Lieu, however the hell you pronounce his last name. But, everyone's focusing on, like, Imran Awan and bank fraud, which is ridiculous that they're not talking about, the equipment. But no one's talking about Jamal or Abid. I mean, these people had the same access as Imran did, but there's no follow-up on, okay, so if you have Imran in custody wearing an anklet, right, where are his brothers? Where is Natalia Sova? Where are these people?
The other one they always try to firewall off is Omar Awan. Omar Awan is a chief administrative officer in that Congress with the ability, who runs PeopleSoft. So he would have the ability, or someone like a chief administrative officer would have the ability of creating a straw employees, giving straw employees raises.
Omar and Abid were one and the same.
Well, they've used each other's name occasionally.
I'm still waiting for that call back.
But so, like,
Yeah.
like when I normally look people up, obviously there's like Intellius and there's Radius, but it gives really good information on who people are connected to, and you can see their addresses and phone numbers. But another thing is you can see, I have Ancestry.com, so you can kind of see, like, when they got married, who they're married to, if there's a marriage certificate. So you can, and if there's, like, no information, that's usually a sign that there's something odd going on. It's hard because there are so many of them, so you have to be careful not to finger point to someone who's really not related to them. But
Right.
Once you start to see a pattern, like, I normally search 3 to 4 different sites, and if the same names come up as connected to each other, and you can start to match the addresses with the people, and you can, when everyone starts being tied together, you can kind of just check yourself and make sure that you're correct, instead of, just picking out a name and just assuming that they're related. But once you start cross-referencing and seeing, you can look on their social media pages. It tells you if they're married, who their brothers and sisters are, where their families live, what businesses they own. I mean, the fact that this Madiha Azam was a loan specialist and a supervisor. I've never heard of Brilliant Core, but she's also linked to a university. So it's finding out, she left there in September of 2016 after being there for 7 years. Where is she?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of, now we know that A1 might be in custody. Who knows? But the fact that no one's talking about any of these other people. I mean, Chuck Grassley's writing letters saying that he'd like to have information on their immigration status. Well, that's nice, but how long is that going to take? So
Well,
it's fine.
I've learned this in the past, that letters that Chuck Grassley writes never get followed up on.
Right.
So
it's like, that's really nice. Like, you know what? Like, I'm gonna write you a Dear John letter, and in the meantime, who knows if there's equipment stored at any of these other places? I mean, they've known for over a year that they've been being kind of tracked, or I'm sorry, February, and nothing was done for months and months. It's now August. So you've just been to one home that they weren't even living at. So, like, who are the rest of these people? Where are they? And, like, what are they doing? You've got all these car dealership, stuff that you've been following up on. What is this ADH Trans Services? It's strange. It's right in Fairfax County. And I don't know how Mohammed Zohaib Awan is connected, but it says he's related to Imran. His wife's a loan specialist. I mean, you could go on and on, but these are not coincidences.
Right.
I mean, there's obviously something going on, and I think, we've got a pretty good idea of the Awan brothers themselves, although we don't know where two of them are. But to start looking into these other people,
even for starters, at home in Lorton at 9667 Hawkshead Drive, that famous address now, it's kind of like 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue now, maybe the second best known address in America. That address. No one's looked up from Congressional Credit Union if any loans were ever given from the Congressional Credit Union on that house. I mean, it's a $1.2 million house. Was a loan ever given on that?
I know, but it's also, look at these other houses, because, these people aren't stupid. I mean, if you're going to start getting more and more loans and doing the other types of this, obviously, like this behavior and all of these crimes that they're doing, and you've got all of these family members all in the same exact cities and towns that you are in, it would be interesting to kind of get a grasp on their inner circle and just see what they're doing. There's no job listed for Mohammed Zohaib other than tickling little Pakistani boys. But, it'd be interesting to talk to this company that Madiha worked at. Mm-hmm. Brilliant corporation.
A lot of times the CIA or what they teach in intelligence services is to misspell one letter, because then it comes up easily on a Google search. So if you come into town, let's say, and you're looking for a cutout to go, let's say, get a loan from, and you say it's brilliant, only you use an E where the A should be, then it will only pick that up in a Google search. You won't confuse somebody who's new in town with 18 different brilliant corporations, and then they have to pick and choose, and they might make
but this brilliant corporation, it's not like she was the only employee. It's a legitimate company.
No, I
agree. But I'm
agree.
saying, even with names, that's why I cross-reference. Like, I won't just Google search someone's name. I cross-reference. This Madiha also has a picture up. So I cross-reference her through, like, 4 different sites of, like, addresses, and then you can look up marriage licenses. That's stuff. When you start getting into state certificates and things like that, it starts to become like, okay, this is a real person. And then when you start to cross-reference all of the addresses and the phone numbers and who they're connected to over several different sites, it's less likely that it's like a fake.
Right.
So, and then obviously this ADH Trans Services is a legitimate company. It's listed on dozens and dozens of pages of resources.
Right.
It's a private company, so it doesn't show who the owner is, but it links right to this Mohammed Zohaib. So if people even start looking at, like, there's Radius, and then there's Intellius, and there's all these different things, it actually gives you who they're associated to and related to. And if you just start clicking on their names, you'll start to see it's Lorton, it's Fairfax, it's Springfield, it's Woodbridge, and then you can look at their families. And I literally just called you after these 2 people because it would take forever to start looking into the rest, but they're all in Virginia, and then they have links, like it's like a web that just goes out to all of these different places. And if our law enforcement isn't going to do their job, like, and start looking into who they're associated with, after a certain amount of time, like, who knows where these people are going to be? It's very easy to just pack up your shit and leave.
Yeah.
And then there you go. So it might be interesting to start making like a chart or something. And I know that people in the crowd are really good at putting together like infographics and stuff like that, that maybe we can start to build like a family tree.
Yeah.
And it will start to show where people are and what businesses they're in. And then it's, calling a company. No loan service company is going to want people investigating what's going on. And if you say, hey, where is this person? He's connected to Awan, who's just been, with bank fraud. Well, you may want to look into it. I mean, you start to get all of this generating, and it, people will start to wake up.
Yeah. I think the first thing, DeSantis in the House, and he's a Florida rep in Jacksonville, he said that they're going to start looking into it. Well, there's nothing.
That means nothing.
Nothing has happened. Nothing has happened with.
No, but when they look into it, they write a letter.
Right.
They don't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like public pressure. I mean, look how long it took for even like the Awan story to get out. The dude was caught at the airport, and he for bank fraud? No one's talking about the Blackberries. No one's talking about. I mean, there are some people in Congress, but I mean, I'm sorry. What are they going to do? Form a committee and for 3 years talk about it and have nothing be done? Like, when you start looking at these places where people work and like going to the addresses and actually pinning them down, no company wants their name in the news associated with criminals, and they will probably do everything that they can to like make sure all their shit's in order. That's when you start to see movement, is when you go direct to these companies. I mean, if you're a loan company and you're connected to someone with bank fraud, bye. Your reputation is down the tube. So it's who knows these people. I'm more concerned about finding where the other two brothers are and whatnot. But it's also, the equipment that you found with Andre, I forget his last name.
Taggart.
Taggart. Right. That was in a house that they weren't even living in.
Right.
God knows if all of these people have houses all over Virginia, what maybe was there. Who knows if stuff is still there. So it's like every day we risk evidence being gone.
I've been to all 12 houses, and I filmed 11 of them, I think, and there was renters in all houses. Now, if they were getting congressional credit loans and home equity lines of credit on these houses, saying that there was no renters, and I videotaped 11 renters at 11 different homes. It's all you have to do. There's no research work to do. You just need to go to the.
But you're just talking about that stuff was in Awan's name.
Right.
Now we've got this Mohab. Like, if there's relatives. And now you have a sister-in-law who's a loan officer. These people have houses. These people have businesses. These people have contacts. So it's, taking the focus of just like the Awan and all of the research that you and the crowd has already done. It's kind of like we have them pegged. We know about them. But it's who are they associated with and what were they doing with them? No one's talking about them. No one really knows who these people are. And if you want to say aspiring, if you start looking into this Mohammed Zohaib Awan, he's weird. He's very weird. And, just the fact that he has this ADH transportation services that offer shipping and car services, there's definitely stuff going on that, the crowd could start helping to look kind of widen the scope.
Yeah.
Because I highly doubt that, if these guys are connected, it just seems like you can write as many letters as you want, but we all know, you can have a committee come up and basically prove that you've committed all these crimes, and then they all, shake hands, and then they go have a bottle of Opus at a restaurant in D.C., and everyone forgets about it. You're careless. You had no sense. You committed all these crimes. Now let's move on and run for president.
Yeah.
So I just, I'm going to start looking into it more, but since your crowd is really good at connecting the dots, maybe start making some infographics and just really putting pressure on. I don't know if, I wouldn't suggest people start, showing up and causing trouble, but I do know that if someone came to my company and was like, just so you know, your company connected to a Pakistani criminal with bank fraud, I'd be like, Okay, you don't want
Yeah.
that coming out.
Yeah, you would want to just
We-
take measures now that we know that there's a bank fraud
Right.
charge.
Right,
Well,
like who is this person? Where did they go?
we certainly
And-
want to vet. We just want to information collect. We certainly want to vet. We don't want to make this into an indiscriminate mob.
Exactly.
Right. We want to absolutely collect information, make it available publicly.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy. I mean, I wouldn't start posting people's like addresses and phone numbers right away, but if you call and ask for this person, you know, you can call a business and say, is, you know, Madiha Azam there? And they may say, she no longer works here. Okay, well, then now you know. So I try to do my due diligence and not just start pointing fingers at random people. But it's once you start to cross-check stuff, you can kind of see where stuff goes. And you can even like look up addresses, and then it'll show you who the people are that lived there. So there's different ways to cross-check. And then I think starting to put together this stuff, making a phone call is easy, and especially to businesses. But even going to the business, I mean, there are addresses, and just seeing what's going on. But I think widening the scope may help put pressure on people. And once you start having movement, I don't know if these people have kids. You know, like it's not that easy just to like pack up 3 kids, even though whatever her name did it. But it might be good to start doing that because, I mean, whatever her name is already out of the country with her 3 kids.
Tina Alvey. I think she only has, well, maybe she had 3. I thought she had 2, but I can't remember.
However many kids she has, but you know.
But is her mother Soraya Begum, and is she a satellite expert in Bangladesh?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's more in depth than I'm going. I'm just trying to figure out who within the Virginia area is still around, because, I mean, it's already been so long. I mean, if I was a criminal, I would have moved my shit and been out of here a long time ago.
Right.
So it's like the more time we waste.
Yeah.
But if these guys are doing what they really say they're doing, to start to find out who they're associated with, it might help. I mean, they may get scared and give information. You never know.
Right.
I mean, I don't even know if they're not even citizens, like, you know, sometimes people can get scared off like that, especially women. So go threaten a woman.
No, let's not threaten any women. No, don't threaten
but
anyone.
I'm just
That was
saying,
a joke.
you know, if she's a professional, you know, these people do have jobs.
Right.
So once you start poking around, women are more apt to give information. So I think that might be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, once you identify the bank fraud, and like I said, I've been to all 12 houses. I know renters are in all 12. I think maybe the first house in Springfield may have been a relative of Imran's, but all the ones after that were definitely renters by their own testimony. I mean, it's on camera, so we don't even have to do any investigation of all the houses I went.
But that's just linked to Imran.
Right.
Like, there's so many other people that once you start seeing, that's why I'm saying let's widen the scope.
Right.
Because if we want more information on exactly who these people are, I mean, is ADH Trans connected to the car dealership?
Right.
Like, it's interesting of what's really going on.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can start putting more pieces together or getting other people to talk.
Great. Yeah. Great. Well, awesome call, Brainy Blonde. Thank you very much.
So let me just say the names again.
Sure.
So one is Madiha, Madiha, Azam, Azam. And that was, you can look her up. She was at Brilliant Corp, Brillient. And then the other one is Muhammad Zohaib, Awan. Once you start looking into these people, once you look up the sister, Adira, you'll start to get other names, and you'll just see Virginia, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, Adila. Adila is Adeela, correct? Adila.
Adeelah.
Oh, they added an H for that one. Yeah, because the Adila rice farms in Salcott, Punjab.
Well, she's listed. I mean, she's in there a couple times.
Yeah, but, different letters. Yeah.
And then her middle name is Ashraf, Ashraf, I believe.
Yeah, Ashraf. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if her last name is Awan or not, but once you start putting names into Radius or Intellius, those stuff, you'll start to see names associated with them and addresses. Mm-hmm. And I just basically plug them in and then cross-check it with a couple more things, and I literally just start drawing lines and connecting dots, and then you can look into businesses and YouTube videos, and if they make them, and then it's just LinkedIn. and then you can start cross-referencing. I would just ask people to be really careful, because just because you have a name and they live in a certain place, it doesn't mean that that's the person. So always cross-referencing a couple of times instead of just, you don't want to harass someone that's really not.
The only time
but
the only time I ever did that was when I did a lookup on the person, and then we did a Social Security lookup, and the Social Security number had been given to somebody in California, an older person that had died. And it always seems to, like, it's either California or someplace on the West Coast. It's always an older person, and then it gets reused for them. And unless
the Awans, these people that I'm talking about, have a ton of connections to California.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Jamal Awan used to live in Wichita, Kansas. That's weird. It seems like they're just all over the place.
Well, the only time I ever, and I guess this is called doxing, but the only time I ever put on any Social Security numbers was when the Social Security number was already used by some other person that had died in California, and then was being reused in Virginia by a new person. And unless Social Security Administration changed their policy, they don't reuse Social Security numbers for exactly this reason. You could start giving loans, VA loans, to dead veterans.
Well, I beg to differ. I mean, the IRS does give out fake Social Security numbers to illegals so they can file.
Oh, not fake. I'm saying they wouldn't take a person who, let's say, was in the VA system and had been a veteran and so forth, and then died, and then use that number again for a 23-year-old new intelligence officer that's just been hired by the ISI in Lorton, Virginia. They wouldn't reuse that. That means that number is being used illegally.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the only time I publish, is when I see that situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people are killing off the people just so they can get the Social Security numbers.
No.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that maybe they've died and now they're just being reused. So.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, let's widen the web and let's find these F'ers.
Yeah.
I know you don't like the F word, so did you notice I held back for you?
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks,
Yeah,
Brainy
I didn't
Blonde.
want to offend you, George.
Thanks. Well, you have a great day. Thanks for taking
You too.
time out. Okay. Bye-bye.
All right.